ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start. I'd like to welcome everybody to this 4th International Communication Styles Conference. I'm glad that everyone has safely arrived from very many countries. This is maybe a small conference, but it's highly varied. There's power in the speeches that you see, so quality matters. I welcome every participant from many countries in Europe and also outside of it. I'm very glad to welcome you in Krośnie. And we also would like to welcome all the teachers in the English department and communication, international communication department, as well as all the students. I hope the students will enjoy the conference. The conference will last for 2 days. We'll start now and then tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so you're welcome to attend all the sessions as you like. Now, before we go on to the first lecture, I'd like to welcome also the Deputy Director of our college, Dr. Dominik Grubel, who kindly agreed to come here and welcome all of you on behalf of Rector Grzegorz Przeginda, who couldn't be here this morning. So, Rector, can you please have a word?
Thank you. As Professor Chłopicki said, I want to welcome you to our college, to Krośnie. Every of you, every student, and every one of our noble guests. I'm very glad because this conference is very important for us, because Krośnie is a small town, small city, but we all have very white hair, and everyone from different parts of the world are welcome to Krośnie. To our young students, work is power. You have to know how to use this power. It's important. Then this conference is especially devoted to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we're about ready to start our first session. So the first session will be chaired by Professor Giselinde. So then I would like to give the power over to you. And then our first speaker is Professor Helga Kotthoff, but give a word to you.
Thank you, Władek. Thank you for inviting us, and also thank you to the rector. Hello, everybody. My name is Giselinde. I'll be chairing this first session. So I would like to introduce Professor Helga Kotthoff, who is a professor of German linguistics at the University of Freiburg, and someone who has published widely on social linguistics, language, and humor. And she's going to talk to us about ethno-comedy between inclusion and exclusion, comic hybrid types that are communicative practices and invitations to antagonistic perceptions. So, a warm welcome for Helga, please.
Thank you very much for this kind invitation. I really feel honored, and thank you for the kind introduction, Giselinde. I think I need help here. Well, I'm going to analyze. I'm going to analyze emphasize a certain type of ethno-comedies here, which perform risky humor in a very special German speech style on YouTube. On the surface, they reproduce and exaggerate ethnic stereotypes. The interesting phenomenon for this conference is that it invites contradictory receptions. Quite radical discussions came up on YouTube around these comedians. In an immigrant situation where identity may constantly be at stake, immigrant and native comedians enact hybrid identities through new forms of stand-up comedy. In so-called ethno-comedy, comedians perform ethnically associated social types and scenes from specific cultural milieus. With most representatives of this genre, it is clear that by means of humor, a complex negotiation of polyphonous identities is performed. I focus on recent developments in some German mass media, comic figures of typically of this type, a stereotypical young, poorly educated big city resident with a migration background. They call themselves Kanna. So the concept is re-signified in a way, and they put a hypertype, not a stereotype, but a hypertype on stage. I will later point out what I see as a hypertype. In the meantime, this type, as a sort of joke figure, is very well established in the media everyday knowledge, so that comedians can play with this ideological product and use it against, they use it to test racism. The concept, of course, as I said, is re-signified. Despite the hyperbolic type, the type is could be seen, perhaps, that is a question for the discussion. Is this a new joke figure in the sense such as Scots and Polish Highlanders, as I learned from Kropicki and Brzozowska in this sense? The figure shares some features with what also Kuipers and Davis pointed out. I'll take into account how recipients comment on the YouTube productions, which are not announced as comedy. That is the interesting phenomenon. They were not announced like. And these are the two persons. I will later show you some scenes. Giselinde is of course, is her persona name. Above all, these comedians, Tedros Teklebren and Idil Baydar is her real name, work with a double framing of their comic characters, in whose stylization, ignorance, German youth, multi-ethnolect, aggressiveness and naivety are integrated in a way that a majority of recipients can easily see through the two-level structuring and achieve a sort of hyper-understanding of the performance. However, different reception attitudes are communicated in the internet. Some viewers reinforce racist stereotypes and distinctions between us and them in their comments. the structure of my talk. There is a handout, but this is only for those who are able to read German, and I translated everything into English. Most of the ethno-comedy productions are embedded in the creation of a multicultural in-group that self-confidently takes the liberty to make ethnic jokes, thereby transcending ethnic ascriptions. That is what they aim at and what they say in interviews. However, the new acceptance of ethnic joking not always serves to overcome stereotypes, but sometimes also to reaffirm them. Some of you might remember Sacha Baron Cohen's movie Borat, which created a big discussion in the international media because he had some impoverished Rome village people in Glod bring animals to their houses, and he paid them for that. And yeah, there was a long discussion around this movie Borat. It was a question, does he invite the audience to laugh about the characters or with the characters? In Germany, in the meantime, the ethno-comedy scene has diversified. Django Asyl, Murat Topal, there are lots and lots, and these floor beauticians are from Berlin. Okay, and they joke about habitus knowledge and do a lot of alluding to Germany related everyday knowledge, and they play with ethnic stereotypes. Kaya Jana was the first and is still a very influential comedian who draws on everyday life in the German immigrant society as a suitable topic for comedy and humor. Although his jokes usually allude also to ethnicity, they are appreciated by the press and a big mixed audience. Ostensibly, everyone seems to laugh with Kaya Jana, and he has a lot of figures, such as a Greek restaurant owner named Takiman, the extremely good-natured and very well-educated Indian Ranjit, with his sacred cow. He's always on stage with a sacred cow and very competent in using computers. And they are all staged as sympathetic characters. And a lot of wordplay is going on. And this wordplay is related to knowledge that people have who live in Germany. For example, there was for at least 30 years, we had this Aktion Sorgenkind, a campaign for children with problems. A TV channel collected funds. And so Kaya Jana created the campaign for cattle with problems. It is funny in German. Aktion Sorgenkind versus Aktion Sorgenrind. And the dog who is running around is called Süley dog. So playing Süley Hund, playing with the name Süleyman. And kebab connections, and this is a movie, and there are film associations, artists associations, and they do a lot of wordplay. In the meantime, a rich program of hyper-typified comic ghetto characters developed in German media. This guy calls himself Tiger Kreuzberg. Kreuzberg is a part of Berlin, a very multicultural and basically Turkish part of Berlin. He works with lots of indexes of the Turkish youngsters. He tells stories, among others, from his own lately violence-prone past, but also about working people from the area around Kotthoff. He always stands at Kotthoff and talks directly into the camera. He gives unconventional perspectives on post-migrant life in big cities such as Berlin. He, as I said, speaks directly into the camera and delivers illuminating observations about the neighborhood, and but also about politics. I can only show you one example. He also made the first steps of his career were made on YouTube. And then he was offered a radio program, and later he was offered a TV, for a short time at least, a TV program. He has had 500,000 clicks on YouTube. Here, Tiger quotes the principle, well, he talks about a chat with a school director he just had. I tried to reproduce this multi-ethno-lect. Therefore, I handed around, you handed around these German transcripts. But you see that it is a very simple language with a deletion of articles and wrong cases after prepositions and stuff like that. I try more school to come, have I said problem, but have I said only, not much done. Because problem is, look, school starts, then teacher sick, always sick, and then next hour, 2 hours later, then I go to work, I want to become a soccer profi, I don't need school. I need only ball, Well, it is put in a simple language. We have a lot of research on this multi-ethnolects. That is also, there is a lot of research in several parts of the world, in London and Copenhagen, and these are typical features of the German multi-ethno-lect, omission of articles, inappropriate cases, imperatives in the form of an interrogative sentence, and lots of phonetic features. Via comedy, this ethnolect made it to the schoolyards. 10 years later, all pupils and even our students were able to talk like this, but they use it as a mock variety. But everybody is able to speak, to talk like this. The young people are. Okay, so we have, I talk about stylization and hyper-stylization. Within a culture, we conventionalize stylistic features, which thereby become expectable in a certain context. With Zandig, we see style, as you do here, as a relational concept. Degrees of directness, indirectness, involvement, formality, informality are, among others, important stylistic dimensions in many social settings. Interactions use styles and their alternation in order to signal and constitute various kinds of meaning: textual, situational, social, and/or interactional. On the other hand, they interpret style as a meaningful cue used to make particular kinds of meaning. Style is often an interplay of verbal and other semiotic cues, as, for example, Penelope Eckert pointed out in her variationist study. Language and speech are accompanied by other semiotic procedures, for example, clothing, which often indicate at the same time gender, class, and situation marking, thereby constituting a gestalt. The performative turn in semiotics and pragmatics points to the necessity of reconstructing bundles of co-occurring style features. That is very important here because hyper-stylization works with hyperbole and relies on the knowledge of about this stylistic features. So we can also talk about doing culture, although I basically mean subculture. Doing subculture and overdoing subculture. Chiefly it's ethno-methodologists who speak of doing X, doing gender, doing being a doctor, largely in agreement with Schütz's phenomenology of the everyday life and also Goffman's analysis of the interaction order. They focus on sense-making in everyday practice. So in analyzing cultures and subcultures, we always have the level of the general, but also the level of the particular. And this is of interest here. A particular interculture can be communicated as something specific. Ethno-comedy, of course, works on the level of the particular. Comedians parody elements of music, speech style, interiors, and so on. So now I'll come to Antoine, to this figure that was brought on YouTube, and he left the question open whether the there offered poll on the, it was offered as a poll on the integration test. It was unclear whether it should be regarded as a sketch or a typical television poll. He produced a double framing for the figure. The video quickly became a YouTube hit, which was more than 20 million times clicked on over a period of several years. Well, Antoine is a swarthy type with a white shirt and a blonde moustache, who is asked in the street by a reporter to answer question on the so-called integration test, which German authorities had just implemented for those who want to receive German citizenship. Antoine is completely unsuspecting, regards Angelo Merkel as the current federal chancellor, Hitler as is his predecessor, Luxembourg as the capital of Germany, and himself as integrated because he drinks beer and no longer beats his wife. He makes concessions like that. Thereby, Teklebran apparently draws his figure, Antoine, so well that some have regarded the video as an authentic street interview. The video thereby becomes a test on a meta level of how much stupidity people can attribute to such a social type. Reactions, I will later show you reactions on the internet. They range from execution of such a stupid foreigner to Oscar nomination of performance. Now I would like to show this video. I hope I can make it here. just 3 minutes to get an impression.
Entschuldigung, kann ich Sie mal kurz was fragen? Hi. Wir haben hier ein Verfahren des Integrationstests. Können wir das schnell? Integrationstest. Yeah. Warte, gut, ne? Ein paar ganz allgemeine Fragen, ganz einfach. Erste wäre zum Beispiel, wer ist Deutschlands Bundeskanzler?
Das ist
Who is the German chancellor?
Irgendwas Angelo.
Angelo.
Angelo Merte. Angelo Merte.
Ja, ist fast korrekt. Ja, wir versuchen mal weiter. Wer war denn Angela Merkel oder nicht gewesen? Ja, der jetzt. Wer war denn vor Angelo? Der Bundeskanzler.
I think that's enough just to see him. In English, it sounds like could sound like this. The reporter asked, "Can I just ask you something?" And he cannot tear himself away from the cell phone, from his cell phone conversation. He cannot distinguish between the federal chancellor and the king, and constantly gives clues to his strong educational deficiencies that go so far beyond normal expectations that viewers are implicitly challenged to hyper-understand the character. With Gerd Bronner, we speak of hyper-understanding when an indirect echo is simultaneously evoked that is built into the utterances. Hyperbole is the trigger here to process the figure as a humorous figure. It's interesting that immediately after this appearance on YouTube, some people around Techlebrand created this T-shirt about Angelo Merte, as you see, and it was sold all over Germany. Lots of young people bought this T-shirt. The question of fiction or non-fiction plays into that of plausibility or pseudo-plausibility of the shown behavior. Depending on one's assumptions about the world, one will consider the stupid immigrant to be plausible or implausible. We have no sudden frame shift here, but sort of a continuous double framing. Viewers are invited to continuously double process the show in two frames, in this Paul frame and in the comedy frame. The two layers of meaning have to be blended as a sort of bi-association. As I've already said, the YouTube video aims at hyper-understanding, at recognizing the double framing and seeing through it. A reception on a meta level is invited, which is a reception mainly on the level of the performance. A non-bona fide mode dominates, but does not delete the bona fide. As I said, there are many comments on YouTube clips and also comments. About 8,000 were negative in 2 years ago, and 56,000 were positive. The negative ones read like this. The sad thing is that we have such idiots living in Germany. Ignorant people like these should be forbidden to live in Germany. They should go back where they came from. No wonder that our nation is dumbing down, a big scandal that is. And lots of, well, it is a minority of comments, but there are 8,000 more. I laugh till I cannot move. Dumb as a frothy sailor shit. It is said like that, gequirlte Schifferscheiße in German. But cell phone and string shirt, along with blonde moustache, great future prospects for our children. Oh my God. Stuff like that. And the positive comments are all basically performance comments. They compliment him for the performance. You are so great, Teddy, I can't stop laughing, and the guy you perform is so convincing, and comments like that. Okay, in the meantime, he is a figure in the pop industry, this tech Lebran. And now we have a female version also. The performer is Idil Baydar. She created this figure, Giselinde, and she started presenting Turkish tips for German reproduction. She also uses the ethno-lect. She is a very well-educated woman, but as she calls herself a ghetto bride. Giselinde is a ghetto bride, and she also comments on political and societal daily events from the presumable viewpoint of a German-Turkish woman who is not willing to integrate and offers ironic recommendations, similar to Tiger Kreuzberg, mostly addressed to Germans, but sometimes also addressed to other groups. Mostly she's angry, rants against dishonorable Germans or against her sister, who in contrast to her, she calls her a complete integration bitch. Because she attends a gymnasium, the most prestigious German high school, and adapts herself to the Germans in the perspective of Giselinde. So she presented the first female version of the numerous male representatives of this immigrant youth. The excerpts of that I have here on the slide they exist on many platforms in the internet. Just a moment. The basic Giselinde addresses primarily the Germans with you as a group. Thematically, the public debate on low birth rate in Germany in recent years serves as the basic topic. The background knowledge also includes the thesis published by Thilo Sarrazin, a very right-wing author who published the book Germany is Abolishing Itself. Deutschland schafft sich ab due to the higher birth rate of the migrants in Germany. Giselinde has read that the Germans would die out and directs her full concern directly at her German audience, whom she in the end gives tips for a more she gives, of course, ironic tips for a more conservative gender policy with more family orientation, however pointing out the contradictory nature of current German gender politics. I was recently at a drugstore and I glanced at this journal and then I read it is about a study, a sort of dermatological study. She means demographic. We have lots of indexes with loan words like this, which index the low education status. Nor is a reference missing in the show, but I think I don't have it on the slides here, that the Germans must not die out above all because they finance unemployment benefits for the Turks. That's what she says. She thereby directly expresses anti-Turkish resentments and xenophobia on the level of a saloon bar and confirms these demonstratively. To this extent, she inserts an attitude test in this character. What should viewers laugh about a dumb and in a sense also clever Turkish woman who confirms to them their racism, or should they laugh with her about her exposure of the absurdity of constructed stereotypes, the quality of her performance, and thereby also about parts of society. Here, she gives these tips. She talks about emancipation, gender politics. You must not forget, you have mucked around yourself with this emancipation. Gives this woman for same work that a man does, gives her much less money, and then she should still pay half in the restaurant. Very honestly, that is not good. That makes no sense. That is not emancipating. The Turkish man, look how he does. You must learn. You must learn. You must learn as German men paying in the restaurant. So she gives tips like this. There were derogatory comments on YouTube in the sense of she's right. Who should Hartz IV is German unemployment money. Who should finance Hartz IV for you Turkish scums? And then written laughter. Most comments are by persons, Turkish scums, and that is, and the positive comments, similar to the comments to Teklebran, they are basically compliments, simple compliments. She's so cool, you are simply the absolute limit, I love you, marry me, stuff like that. They do not go into the details of the performance, but express positive feelings towards the performance and, on the whole. Many common commenters post Turkish or Arabic code switches, even though Giselinde herself does not code switch. One writer comments, for example, on Giselinde appearance in Turkish compliments her costumes in Turkish, and my students with the Turkish migration background helped me figure out. So I will soon come to the conclusions. Well, just a few more remarks that some other recipients also criticize the speech style and all the grammatical errors and yeah. The cliches used by Gillette Eiche are taken up in direct address by some German commentators. As I have shown, she's right, who should finance unemployment benefit for you, Turkish scum and stuff like that. And then they counter with you German stuff, scum. The wild passages are marked with muhaha, which seems to be the online jargon for disdainful laughter. I'll come to my conclusions here. Humor in the post-immigration life world deals, as before, with identity negotiation and also the legitimation for these risky humor practices. Whether one enjoys it as a recipient or not depends simultaneously on many factors, and among these factors the performance quality is always a factor. How are these hypertypes overdone? The character's sympathy value is always a factor. Ascribed and or received, which doesn't always overlap. Is there a legitimation of risky humor? And that basically means, do these people who make critical performances like this themselves have a migration background? There are some Germans who also try to do this, but they get much more critical reception. And how is the self-presentation of the comedians outside the show? Of course, these comedians give lots of interviews, and they also explain what they aim at. That they do not want to support racism, but to invite people to look through the stereotypes. Tecklebrun with his Antoine and Baidar with her Gillette embody a further development of the fictitious ghetto character. Anyone who believes in the representation displays a racist face. Anyone who discovers its special performative quality belongs to the post-migration solidarity community of those who know the cliches and know better. And there, I have this question for the discussion. Are these Kanak or ghetto bride types, are they a new folklorist joke persona? Are there similarities to the well-known stingy Scots and personas like that? At least they also embody very down-to-earth persons that you described for the Polish Highlanders, they are very often, or always, they are clever philosophers, street philosophers, with a philosophy that is drawn from the life world. On the one hand, they portray themselves as stupid with a simple language and stuff like that, but on the other, they have a lot of opposition to offer in regard to the society. And yeah, thank you very much. For your
I am Borisova from Russia. I also work on some aspects of bona fide discourse.